Like a bomb squad. You never stop calling me crazy, but you the one that's fucking crazy. And it's time for me to run. Yeah, it's time for me to go. I will stick around for you.
Hello, hello, welcome back to the Blue Ops League Diamond Division. I am Root, joined by When It Rains. How are we feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to be over here in Diamond.
And let's get it. We already have most of this first game draft already in locked and loaded, ready to go. We can see the Volley, the Lysandra, and the Misfortune taken into a Corki, Ari, Jarvan. Anything you want to bring out from the first phase before we head into our second phase?
Yeah, just that Bloom very clearly knows what they want here. Poison Drop Dead has a little bit more of variance, but yeah, the classic. You have Corky, you have the Ari Jarvan. They want to be aggressive. They want things to go quickly. And Drop Dead, having that Lysandra, having that Misfortune, having the Volibear, definitely want to slow things down a bit. So I'd be pretty surprised if we don't see teams double down a bit.
Yeah,
And Cho'Gath, especially if that ends up being um that sort of top lane, I expect to see that combined with like a very aggressive support trying to get that counter pick in. And just sort of have a weak side top play very, very hard around bot side.
yeah. Let that top lane stay alone on the island. Kill everything else while you can. Cho'Gath has been locked in, heading over to Drop Dead. Now they have 5 more seconds before their time will expire. Looks like they're going to go with the Camille, a very aggressive counter pick in the top lane. Quite squishy overall, but they have a lot of health bars, if nothing concrete, and it might actually be that difficult for things like Corky Jarvan to get through. A bit of armor shred, but no true Blade of the Ruined King abusers, if nothing else. So looking into this part of the draft, now seeing the Leona come out as well, a whole lot of
Yeah.
CC.
Yeah, really doubling down, tripling down on that. Getting the hook shot out, especially, I think is going to be really good. Being able to get those flank angles on something like the Corki when you really have not gone for the insane damage, right? The Ari, more battle mage. Even if she goes assassin, it's a lot of bursts, a lot of intrinsic damage up front, but a lot of the damage the most of what you're doing throughout the fight is going to be relying on that Corki and going the Braum just to keep him protected. I think
Yeah,
is a really good choice. I think it's to be expected too, knowing just how dangerous it could be if your core gets locked down, right? And there are lots of ways to do it. You have the flank angles from the Kona engage initially right into a bullet time, which can be really rough, especially if you don't have anything to block it, because you just get shredded up front. Even if you're able to cancel it halfway through, you're still eating a lot of damage. Lysandra could follow up, and then you have Volibear, who can just ignore all the CC and run in himself. So it does feel pretty dangerous. Overall, I do think Drop Dead are a bit more reliable. I think they're a bit more flexible in their game plan. Bloom has one thing that they can do, and they're going to do it really well, right? They have a very beefy front line. They have Corki
yep.
doing a lot of damage. They're very aggressive, especially in this early game. But there's very, very real potential for them to just fall off super hard. The flip side, though, is that because they're beefy front line, there's a lot of ways for Drop Dead to get around it. But there aren't a lot of ways in the late game for them to just fight through it front to back, right? There's just not a lot of damage coming through, especially once that Cho'Gath gets a couple online. Gonna be really hard to take down.
Very true indeed. It's interesting to see how through the second phase of draft, the dynamic really kind of flipped around. You look at Ari and Jarvan diving on top of a Misfortune, but then suddenly the things like the Leona come in, the Camille come in, and suddenly it really feels like it has turned around. It's now Corky on the back foot. He has a Brom there to defend himself, so, if there is any support that can peel effectively through an ADC, that is probably the Brom. But on the overall, it just a very different dynamic coming out of the draft.
Yeah, and both teams having to pivot because their positions make sense. Especially like if you're gonna go for the R4 Cho'Gath, that's sort of saying it's like, okay, we're not drafting any more damage from our top side. We're not drafting any like insane right, like the move and speed build that Cho'Gath has usually goes mid. You can play it top, but you will suffer. You will have a harder time unlocking the map. So when you do that, you kind of say, "Hey, we're not going for a lot of damage. If you just go a bunch of CC. We're gonna have to answer you on that support pick. We're not gonna be able to double and triple down like we'd like. We have to answer, or our Quirky can just die, and we don't have a way to deal with the rest of the fight." Especially if we miss that engage, we just don't have any wiggle room.
Absolutely, and they are kind of low on that engage. Well, you rightly point it out. things like the Braum, the Cho'Gath, they have situational CC, as I like to call it. Things like the Ari as well. The Cataclysm, of course, is very difficult to miss, but everything else upon the Bloom side, it feels like it can be very up and down, very 50-50 whether it actually lands or not. Whereas you look at Drop Dead, they have point and click CC on the Volibear, on the Leona, and then with that you can then stack on top with things like the Lissandra root, like the Camille stun. So I'm very interested to see how both teams are able to protect their ADCs, because that does feel like the crux of this game, but then also how they can kind of compound on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. Seeing how you can peel your ADCs makes sense, but it's also a big deal, right? The mid laners are also going to have a lot of reliability because they're not going to provide as much damage, but both mid laners have a lot of playmaking potential. Obviously, Ari on side routes, on the flanks, being able to land these big charms is going to be absolutely massive for the team. If you're able to lock any of the carries down with that, there's a lot of burst that can come through. Likewise with the Lissandra and the Glacial Prison, right? Being able to go in, lock people down, being able to CC the entire team and just prevent that dive as well gives a lot of potential. So the mid laners are really going to have to be paying attention to their roam timers, paying attention to their waves, paying attention to the damage that their towers are taking. And I feel like mid lane, while there is definitely mechanical level to it, it's going to be a lot more on a macro scale to determine how this mid game goes, how these objective fights get played out.
Absolutely. We are just through the client side draft, so we'll be a couple more minutes. We can have a look, if we want, a little bit more in detail at some of these specific lanes. The Camille into Cho'Gath especially, I feel very dominant for the Camille, a very solid counter pick, but I think, like with a lot of these lanes, it's going to come down to how these junglers can really impact them. So how can the Jarvan, how can the Volibear really get around the map and impact these?
Yeah, I would definitely say Volibear probably has the faster clear time just farming, but Jarvan definitely has those more aggressive ganks in the early game. Volibear does just kind of run at you, and early game with the move speed, it's pretty strong, but as you get later into the game, it's going to be harder for Volibear to actually find those engages without just getting shredded, getting charmed up, trying to run, getting like a Braum Q tagged up. Meanwhile, Jarvan has much more of that hard engage, that sort of go button, if you will, using the flag and drag. And even if that's just to close distance, then land a Cataclysm on the back line to lock things up for a big Cho'Gath knockup, right? For a big Braum knockup. All these things that you have available to you. Meanwhile, the Volibear is going to be playing much more towards the side, probably with the Camille, with the Leona, allowing other people to get that primary engage off, and then following up on it based on how that goes.
Absolutely. We are now going to have a look at our mid lane matchup. This Lissandra into Ari. I'm not sure there are many lanes with much less of a kill threat, especially with the new Ari build that we're seeing a lot of. What do you make of this whole Rod of Ages stuff?
For the Volibear or the Lissandra? Because there's a
Literally
couple
everyone.
people. Yeah. There's a number of people who could run it. Obviously, like Cho'Gath and Ari probably are not going to run it. Ari, even if you're running more of like that bruiser builds, you tend to just run the double burn. You tend to like play more into those items. The Lissandra, I could definitely see it, but Seraph has been rising. For the Volibear, I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because you have so much damage in your team already. I feel like facilitating that, just running the standard Sundered Sky, Dead Man's Plate, move speed items to really make sure you can get in, especially against a team that just has so much mobility, I think is going to be very important, right? All of these characters have some way to dash or speed themselves up or get themselves out of danger and disengage from anything you can do. And a lot of these movement abilities, the hook shot, the claw from Lissandra, the Leona E, they're one and done, right? There's not as much follow-up. The Ari, the Spirit Rush, Corki can disengage already playing from range, right? Jarvan can flag drag out. You have a lot of ways to get back if that initial engage doesn't work. You don't want to pull the trigger. So having a lot of that move speed on the Volibear, having that backup, those backup items to be able to tank a little more when you're running in, having the move speed to run in a little bit faster, I think is going to be more valuable than having the damage to put out once you get there.
I think that's a really good analysis. I wonder if something like the Cosmic Drive could sneak in for the similar reason. Once you do that little bit of magic damage, gathering a small amount of movement speed on top of the extra buff it already gives. a potential idea on the run it down because they have so many disengage options on the side of Bloom. So as we now do load into Summoner's Rift, do we have any final thoughts for how these two drafts match up against each other?
I would say overall, I think Drop Dead definitely have a slightly stronger comp.
I would agree.
Oh my god,
Fair
did
enough.
we just talk through the entirety of Spec Delay?
Yeah, we
That's
did.
awesome.
We are so good at this. So we are already just about ready to go onto the Rift for our first game between Drop Dead Gaming and Bloom. We are ready to go, I believe. Can we just go straight in? Yeah, we can. Hell yeah. Let's get it. Oh, no, we can't. Hey, we're back. Okay, let's go. Oh, just as I thought it was going to be too easy. It suddenly made sure it wasn't going to be, but we are in. And we are happily going now. A little bit of spectator delay, but we will be there in just a second. Drop Dead Gaming are on your blue side for this one. Bloom are on the red. You can see that on your overlay. But heading into this, we've already had a little think of how these drafts will pair up against you. We haven't had a look all too much at the level 1, which seems like it might be forthcoming. Luke is going to have to be a little bit wary of where he stands around Rapt a bit. The hookshot wall dive's going to land. He's going to get chunked a decent bit there. Oh my god, electrocute Ari. Massive damage coming in already just from one single electrocute proc. Gonna force out the Ray. Heading down over to the bots. I'm surprised overall when you're playing into a Braum comp. I'm surprised that the Braum isn't the one going for the level 1 play instead. It is in fact the blue side. Drop Dead fancying themselves in the level 1, but it will not come to anything. So we will just have to head out into our first part of the laning phase. Unfortunately, When It Rains has had a little bit of an internet issue. She will be back, hopefully.
Hey there, while we wait for When It Rains, this is me, Dory K, producer. I'm gonna
Hell
go
yeah.
fast.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Alright,
So
so
we
we
are-
got the level 1 start. Pretty good, pretty good. Was there anything you pointed out that seemed like abnormal with this
I
setup?
think the setup overall pretty normal. They got a little bit of vision on both sides. Tons of wars invested, if you can see on the minimap. Over on that blue buff of Bloom, but overall pretty chill start to this one. Both junglers going to be pretty well tracked, but I am interested to see how in the long play Bloom will ever be able to get through all of these tanks that, or even like the HP pulls in general that Drop Dead have. Things like the Leona might not be all up there in HP, but still have so many resistances, and you just have a Corki to get through them all. It feels like that could be a massive point of contention as we get into the mid and late game.
Yeah, even though his power scaling curve was moved over to like being a crit based build, being an AD focused build, he still does struggle a little bit.
Ooh, the engage. The
with that
Zenith Blade
first
goes in.
engage.
Yeah, the door goes up. Rescued says, that's enough of that, please. Perfect Tempo did land a nice Zenith Blade and a very good trade for that bot side as they'll continue to push that wave in.
Yeah, like you were saying, I am curious to see if the Wombo potential does have the capability of burning, as we have a gank.
Here comes the gank already. Already comes in for a play. He flashed in to make that play, and he will fall for it as well. But it is only an execute. 21 didn't get the tag, and now in the top side, it completely allows the Camille to open up onto the Hail of Blades Cho'Gath, which has a little bit of fight back of his own. The grass stack goes the way of Ray, and we will just try to calm down for a couple of seconds.
And it looks like When It Rains is just double checking that her audio and everything is back. It looks like she's fixed her technical difficulties, so we're going to get her back into the cast here. As Perfect Tempo throws up a little flame. My last little point there, while the gank did go 1-for-1, I think that's still pretty positive for the volley.
It's 1-for-0 overall.
Yeah,
in
he
gold.
was able to crash the wave on top of that, so Ari did
Mm.
drop a wave. It brought the CS deficit down to just 3.
Yeah, a massive play found there. Especially bearing in mind that it did cost 21 splash, and Pleb is able to obviously burn his for the mid lane. That's a trade you'll take every day. As the jungler now, Luke has been able to find an invade, and he'll go straight down to the bot side. The flag and drag will force out the the flash of Bush, as now going back the other way, a 2v3 play, and Banana Man is completely decimated by the Leona, but it is not enough overall. They will come back around, the cleanse enough to get him to safety, as 3 summoners are burnt on the side of Drop Dead, and they don't even get the kill.
Yeah, pretty fun fight, but eventually just getting outpaced in numbers, and Perfect Tempo just was not able to land enough damage down there. Thought they could get in with the Ignite, but Banana Man just cleanses it. Rescued has the Exhaust. Not going to be able to finish anyone off. But both teams currently 1 for 1. The Jarvan getting that kill is going to be a very big deal. It's going to accelerate him a lot. Going to make it very helpful. Meanwhile, on the top side, PL3B has just been taking those camps, just going on the invade to make sure that Luke is punished when you go into the bot side. And this is what you can expect to see at the higher ranks, right? Just making sure these junglers are always going to be trying to find value. Luke goes for a gank on the bot side. PL3B is going to be there on the top side, the mid lane, the invade. Not just going to let him get away with it for free.
And that's exactly what we saw when Pleb went for the mid lane play as well. Luke was able to steal away one of his own camps, so Pleb only got a 5 camp clear. There we go. Heading out of the first overall jungle clears is now another Zenith Blade connects onto Rescue. He has no door to throw up this time. He will have to stand beside his teammate as he's going to have to seed that bush. The wave will crash into the tower, but Banana Man will clear up most of it.
Yep. And looking now, I want to ask, how do we think that this is going to play out going into these dragon fights, especially with the bot lane having this lead, but also just generally having a stronger 3v3, 4v4, especially when you get those sort of component spikes, right? Before the major item spikes, you have Corki who's able to sort of stack these long swords. Luke obviously has a bit more damage. PL3B going to be farming a bit more, hasn't really had the time to back just yet. I feel like it's just going to be a really good tempo for Red Team to grab whatever they want, being able to just grab these dragons, but a fight in the mid lane?
Yeah, Mutt goes very aggressive in the mid lane, and it will force out the Spirit Rush from 21. Only having to use that W on Lissandra, very positive play overall. As back to your point in this bot lane, it's just exactly what Corki does, right? It's so difficult to have any pressure points around him, but late game, he will still do his damage, and from quite a distance at that. But whether he can ever get through things like a tanked Volibear, like a tanked Leona, is still remains to be seen.
Yeah. And Bloomers, especially when they're going for these aggressive fights, you can see the Jarvan wrapping back down again already. Gonna take the back, but still just making sure to hover, picking up the dragon. And it doesn't look like Drop Dead realized that the Cho'Gath was on the grubs, just stolen away.
He ate a grub.
Yeah, it does obviously, like, you could do that on Cho'Gath, but that's also just making sure that Drop Dead are not going to be able to get the 3 grubs, not going to be able to contest that the monster slaying feat, right? Even if you get both, you still don't get all 3. You don't get that. So really just stealing away value where they can. Now the pings are coming out. They realize that they've been had, that the heist has come through. And this is a really, really good spot for Bloom to be in, especially after getting that steal. And I did say, you know, we talked about the movement speed. Not as strong as it is if you were going mid lane, but still that very aggressive build. 21 misses the charm.
Mutt will go once again. No charm, you pointed out. 21 doesn't even have Spirit Rusher available either. The ult's going to come in from Mutt, and he will get the solo kill. Jungle not there in time, and now he will look to disengage with the flash as well. Very nice solo kill found by Mutt in the mid lane. A little bit of an overstep from 21.
Yeah, and it was really interesting, right? Not waiting for Mutt to take the claw to try and land the charm and get out. Used it, whiffed it, right? Mutt had the dodge, and then after Ari uses her charm, doesn't have the Spirit Rush, doesn't have that charm. Mutt's just free to take that claw, run in, get the Glacial Prison, and 21 can do nothing about it, right? You just don't have any of your spells, you don't have any gas left in the tank, and Mutt takes full advantage.
Yeah. Another invade coming in from this Jarvan on the Volibear. His Krugs have not been the bears this game. Instead, Luke will look to go for those as another potential play is brewing in the bot side. Bloom want to try and equalize what just happened. They're going to send the Ahri down in the roam as well. They push in the wave in mid lane. A potential 4v2 dive now as Pleb will get down here. Can he get down here in time? Will they just activate off this? They might even call this off. They might just go on
See.
pleb. The charm connects. Over the wall comes the flag and drag. Doesn't get the knock up, but he might still have the damage anyway. No, he will sky split his way right the way out of there. Stormbringer takes him to safety and no play available.
Yeah, team's
Unless the
switching around.
counterplay.
Perfect tempo.
He hits the Zenith Blade, but there's no follow-up on it. Mutt now, again, the damage he is dealing in these trades against 21. Going for the chapter first on the Lissandra. Chapter first from both sides. No Rod of Ages today.
Super aggressive here, right, from Drop Dead. And I'm wondering, Mutt just going for more trades in the mid lane, has the claw?
Every time you see that claw go forward, we wonder if he's going to pop it. Not this time, but it has worked out for him so well in the past, though, of course, without the knowledge that 21 had no ultimate. This time it does fall by the wayside. They'll just clear out the mid wave and reset as Pikemon gets himself another stack. Interested to have a look at some of these builds as they start to come through. I'm going to go ahead and guess that is... Okay, that was not what I was going to say, but it is a Cerelia's battle song. So he's just going full
you
move
don't
speed.
know about the move speed build, do you?
I thought he was going Cosmic Drive, but...
No, the fancy
yeah,
new
yeah.
move speed tech is Hail of Blades Shirelias to get the speed buff for yourself and the team to be able to just run people down with Cho'Gath, because a lot of people are realizing Cho'Gath has a very hard time getting it in initially, but once you get in, especially once you get the slow with your E-Talons, once you get the Q knockup, it's very easy for you to actually stick on targets. It's just that, especially come late game as Cho'Gath, if you build pure tank items, you just get kited, right? It's sort of the Scion issue. It's the issue a lot of tanks have in that late game if they don't have enough utility.
X-Tech ultimates on the top side. That'll be a massive trade coming in from Raze. And on the backside, the Cataclysm from Luke is going to go in as well. There is no eat yet on Pikemon, though, so it is just going to be a lot of damage traded. Ray knew that the Devour got used on the minion in the previous wave. He had a little bit of a timing window to look for a play, and Luke survives with a slither of HP. Uses the Cataclysm, but does, in fact, get out himself.
Yeah, that was looking really dangerous. It was a really nice Cataclysm to counter the hook shot, but yeah, without any eat, without any extra damage or Pikemon being able to get into that cage, they're not going to be able to finish off Ray. And now Luke's stuck in the 1v2 in the cage.
And now here comes the Solar Flare as well. It will force the cleanse from the Corki. Rescued, puts up the door, but he is quite alone until the Jarvan comes to relieve him. He has a friend to stand beside. He will escape. And Jarvan once more down the bot side. It feels like he's had a lot more presence than his counter jungler on this side. And again, the flash is forced out from Blush, but on the top side is the counterplay. Pikemon will have to flash. Volibear turns the turret off, and that is a 1-for-0 unless it can be equalized by the Ahri roam that comes down. They're going to look for the dive here.
No, I think they're going to call it off, especially if the feat was already taken. Putting a ton of risk down there is probably not worth it, when in return, you could just make sure you get that drag. Even if the Volibear is able to get it, he's not tying up those objectives. He's only getting the first because of that initial grub steal from Pikemon. So now you're up on the feats of monster slaying, and it's really going to come down to this tower.
Yeah. Not quite there yet on the monster slaying. Still need one more, but because you point out Pikemon eating away a Void Grub, it's a free stack when you're playing on the Cho'Gath, so he was more than happy to oblige. He has to be a little bit careful when he clears out his control ward, but he knows the Camille isn't there. But he doesn't know the Lissandra is ready to roam up here. Should be okay in the long run.
Yeah.
Just get a little bit of inactivity.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Roams down, checks it, but the grubs are already gone. Not going to be able to pull off the
He's
second
overstaying a bit here, though. The Hextech Wardog comes in.
Not again.
He pops the Cerelias, but you cannot run away from the Hextech ultimatum. He is caught in a 1v3, and the kill gets donated over to the Camille, precisely where you want that gold in such a volatile top lane matchup.
Yeah, and it's just the same mistake again, right? Not realizing that these cooldowns are up. It's going to be very, very difficult to play around, and especially with Mutt already on the roam, right? Mutt has just been doing such a good job here of keeping control of this mid lane, keeping pace. Whereas 21, every time 21 leaves, Mutt's immediately answer just hard shoves the wave, goes for tower, has up plates. But every time Mutt leaves, he's controlling the wave in such a way that it's significantly more difficult for 21 to actually answer or push back or get any sort of advantage, especially because of the solo kills and those Darksteel stacks that you've been picking up. You're able to fight a lot easier, you're able to trade a lot easier, you're able to clear a lot faster as well.
Yeah, and you're right to point out the Dark Seal stacks. Only 3 of them for right now, but oh my god, that double tap every time. Banana Man has to be careful. He's going to try and Valkyrie his way out of the Solar Flare. He will try and flash the Zenith Blade, but it connects and drags Perfect Tempo along with him. He has no cleanse for this Ignite. He's just going to have to stand here and take it. But the exhaust used onto Blush is going to force out a lot of this damage to just not even be there in the first plate. But there comes the bullet time eventually. They will finally get onto the Corki, and a brilliant 2v2 play found mainly by Frozen Tempo. And now it comes another play from the mid lane, though. It is Mutt finding a solo kill. The Frozen Tomb used to dramatic effect, and another kill goes over to Lissandra.
Ooh, Blush has to be careful.
He does indeed. The concussive blows will stack up, and a Himi will fall here. The red buff, more than enough from Luke. Good play in the counterplay overall, but still, another solo kill to this mid lane. It's not what we expected coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't expect this many solo kills. Obviously, Lissandra, a very good pick into the Ahri, but Ahri typically has ways to just nullify it, just deal with this matchup and not go down. But 21 just has not been doing a great job of actually playing to his strengths, has really not been respecting Mutt, right? Obviously, just holding the Spirit Rush until it's too late. Mutt, you know, once Mutt's able to get that second W, get all the extra damage down, you realize, okay, I can commit the Glacial Prison here, I can get this kill, because 21 hasn't ulted yet. He's going to eat all of that upfront damage, and even if you're dodging out on a little bit, Mutt is just going to need a couple more autos after that, especially because of all that extra damage that you're getting from the burn from the Blackfire Torch.
Absolutely, as we get another play coming in here now. The bullet rain over the top. Perfect Tempo has 0 chill this game. He already goes deeper with the solar flare again, and Rescued will just fall to the volley bear. Pikemon doesn't even quite have the execute. Perfect Tempo will survive that very audacious play, and now 21 is caught out yet again by Mutt as he dives over the wall. Luke on the backside, though, gets a 3-man Cataclysm. There is 0 follow-up on it. 21 will finally take out his mid-lane opponent, but it's a 4-for-1 play overall.
Yeah, 21 getting the revenge kill. Taking the shutdown and getting those Darksteel stacks off is very helpful, but with Rift Herald spawning with 4 down, just not a worthwhile trade. And it really feels like Bloom have just been struggling to actually keep pace with the rest of the game when, you know, you get one good play, you get something here or there, but on the other side of the map, Dropdeath's just getting 2, 3, 4 good plays every single time. They're playing the map, they're playing with their team, and it just feels like Bloom are scattered, not really communicating where their positions are, how they can do, because, you know, when you see Perfect Tempo dive in like that, you think, that shouldn't be allowed, that shouldn't be a kill, that shouldn't be anything, but for them, it's going to be a 4-for-1, complete control over the Herald, and now 30 seconds to this Dragon, going to stop the stacking, and try and take this feat of Monster Slaying, secure the feats entirely, and it's just not looking great for Bloom heading into this mid-game, where their champs are going to start falling off before they've had a chance to even get going.
Something that isn't going to be going the other way is even more damage going over. Pleb will have to flash away from the flag and drag, but yeah, Mutt already so close to the Shadow Flame as well. He is completely dominating over the mid lane matchup. The priority has somehow managed to find its way for Bloom. They might even just be gifted a Chemtech Soul Point as Pleb walks a little bit too far up. He will be turned on and shut down by the Corki ran by Banana Man, but here comes the re-engage on the other side. There is so much damage. The Frozen Tomb is massive. The door does block a lot of the Misfortune ult, but there is so much damage coming in on the other side of the fight. The Camille from Ray is beautiful. And another 4-for-1 play. They sacrifice their jungler, and it works.
Mutt, oh my god, the Madman finds the angle, gets a 4-man root, engages perfectly, cuts out the team, and even though Rescue's able to block a lot of that bullet time, is able to block a lot of that damage, in the end it's not going to be enough. Bloosh just doing so much, and like, Blush just being able to land that bullet time, and Rescued wasn't in position to cut it off completely, right? So Bannerman was still taking damage, Luke was still taking damage, you can see it was like split right down the middle, but instead of like parting it and being like, it's okay, you can stand by me, Rescued just parts it right into the rest of his her teammates, right? It was just not good position. Yeah, it wasn't a good position to be in, especially after Muck lanes that absolutely gorgeous engage. It's just so hard. Building into the Darksteel has 2 items finished. And for Bloom right now, they're mostly hoping for a miracle. They're just so hilariously outpaced that it's very difficult. You need Luke to be able to find a flank angle, get a big engage here, get 21 to help with the assassination.
Lush is walking very far here. He may have overstepped his boundaries. The flag and drag will go completely wide, and the counterplay is already here. Blush was just baiting. Pleb is already up there. The solar flare lands onto Luke. He will have to be stood beside by the Braum, but he now gets stunned up by the Leona as well. He will fall eventually, and another massive engage found by Melt, but he will get shot down. It's a little bit too deep. Luke will still fall in the long play, but he still gets the Cataclysm onto Blush. He's forced to flash away from the Thunderdome, but here comes the Volley Bear over the top on the Sky, on the Stormbreaker. Everything coming down. Not quite enough to find anything else, but overall, a 1-for-1 play. Matt thought he had the angle, got so much damage onto Pikemon, but it wasn't quite enough.
Yeah. Mutt being able to go there wasn't able to get the ult off, though, because the silence from Pikemon into the Eat stopped her before that Lissandra could get any value. Got a big root, but without being able to imprison yourself, being able to buy all that time, get so much extra damage down, you're just going to fall over, right? Lissandra, not as squishy as others, you know, decent base HP, base armor because of her kit, but she's still a mid. She's still not stacking any HP. If you go into 3 people and you are not safe, if you don't get that initial burst, you're just going to fall. You're just going to go down. You're going to get bursted down like every other mage, and that's exactly what happened that last fight. So overall, I definitely think Bloom come out on top, but it's still a 1-for-1. You get the shutdown. It's still, you know, apples and oranges at this point. You're comparing things. It's like, oh, you know, this is a 1-for-1. It's been Bloom are just so far behind that they're going to take anything they can get.
They might have found another play here, though. The Glacial Fissure goes a little bit wide from Rescue. He couldn't see into the bush, but this will be Pikemon eating on the top lane. A 4-0-4 Camille had a nice big shutdown for him too. So 700 gold now hands over to the Cho'Gath as the Demolish procs on the tower as well. Top tier 1, just a positive play there. They've gone from being about 5.5k down to just 4k.
Yeah, looking really nice here. Now, the unfortunate thing, a lot of that gold's on the Cho'Gath because of all these shutdowns, right? And that's really not where you want it to be. It's very helpful. It's going to stop a lot of the dive engages, but you kind of need more damage on your team. The Dead Man's Plate is nice, again, but Banana Man's still kind of far behind, finally hitting the 2 items, but doesn't even have Mana Immune Spiked 22 minutes into the game. 21 doesn't even have that second item, has the Malignance. Is not going for that Bruiser build, is going to really struggle to actually output any of the damage that they need. And it's just feeling very hard, right, when you get all this gold on your Cho'Gath, for your carries to actually be able to follow up, capitalize on any play you get going, because even if they land everything, they still don't do the same damage that maybe Blush does on a Q bounce, on a bullet time that Mutt does on a huge engage with a Glacial Imprisonment. With the Shadow Flame, especially getting those crits on low health targets, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, and this would be a game I would definitely advocate for something like the Rod of Ages Ari. It wasn't chosen. Oh my god, he's going to go again. Mutt goes deep once more. The Solar Flare doesn't quite land because of the Spirit Rush used by 21. It will be the disengage angle. Mutt takes about half his HP. He'll go again for the charm. He finds it onto Pleb, but it is just the chunk from his Q. But yeah, we saw how much that Q did. You're not going to have any real difference if you'd have just gone for the Rod of Ages. And I think having something like the level lead, having the extra the tankiness within the fight, especially when your Cho'Gath is going on one of the more obscure builds where you don't have the same level of frontline, spreading that frontline across the rest of your team to try and keep the Corgi safe might have been an option.
Yeah, but I think when you're lacking damage like this, when you're already so far behind, it's probably the correct move. You probably do need that extra damage just to make sure you can get through these fights. And as I'm reminding myself, I keep calling Glacial Prison. I'm pretty sure it's the Frozen Tomb. I'm pretty sure Glacial Prison is that Sejuani ultimate. I'm too bore coded and unfortunately have been TFT induced from this new set. I have not been considering. It's been a while since I've seen Lissandra actually come to the stage as well. I'm mostly in that draft world where Lissandra does not get played that much, but it's nice seeing her up again. I know as an answer to this Ari, it's sort of the classic. You have like Ari LeBlanc, Ari Lissandra are some of those classic like counter matchups or ditto matchups that you just sort of accept. But it's definitely fun to see champs that I haven't seen in a while get played. The Camille as well. Not as rare, but definitely a much more interesting pick that tends to be player-based. The champion, just super fun to watch. Super fun to watch. The animations, the combos that they can pull off is entertaining.
Nothing like
It's
watching Zeus at
nice.
Worlds on a Kabeel, as
Ah.
now the play shifts to the top side. The Mega Blast Cone
Ooh.
finds Luke a little bit uncoordinated. He's going to flag and drag his way. He's find Matt instantly. He's going to get the root off. Then he's going to Frozen Tomb himself, and the Glacial Frizzer over the wall will knock Blush out of his ultimate. A very odd-looking play that ultimately does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but it's
Unless Luke
scattering
can find
on
it
that
back
blast
again.
cone.
He goes in on the Cataclysm. Blush is left all
Get it.
alone. Red didn't flash over the wall. That's a little bit awkward. He will now go in onto Luke. Calls down the storm from the sky, but he doesn't finish off the jungle. Instead, he turns around, deals with the bigger threat in Pikemon, and then finds a Corki in his path as well. A 2-for-0 play that very easily could have been even worse for Blush. For Bloom, sorry.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about with... sorry, this is what we were talking about with the Cho'Gath, right? It's like every other tank. If you don't get on your target, if you do not have the backup, you're going to get CC'd, you're going to get melted. The game is not what it was, you know, Season 4, Season 5, where you could just stack 6 tank items and you were this unkillable bash just walking towards people and CCing them and then also doing no damage, but you're still being unkillable. Nowadays, you know, your tanks do damage, things are a lot faster. If you get caught, you're going to die. Tank items just... they're not what they used to be.
That's
Damage
true,
items
but these are not
a lot
tank items
stronger.
either.
No, that's true.
That's
Yeah, I
another
mean,
thing to consider.
they're mixed, right? You have the Dead Man's Play, you have some health in the Shellys, but yeah, definitely going for a bit more of that move speed build. But it's still, you would hope you were able to survive a little bit longer. But yeah, once you're focused by 5 people, not gonna cut it.
Not going to cut it at all. Even when on the other side you don't have someone going the on hit with the Blade of the Ruined King. Those are what we really see as the tank crushers, but not even going to be needed this time around, as Mutt against 21 in the side lane is just going to force the Ahri out. She didn't even have to press any buttons. She is just scared of this matchup, and honestly, can't really blame her. Going to look to teleport in, might have something like an easily large rod. There it is. As if she doesn't teleport in, this turret might just fall for free.
Potentially, we'll have to see what ends up happening, but they
fall for
might
free
be able
anyway.
to return something. You can see teams just starting to focus around this Otacon now, moving around, seeing what they can get, knowing that there's a lot of value, right? The Ruidus Otacon with all those blood petals is going to be massive advantage to the team that gets it, especially with both teams being able to go for more of these drags, more of these objective focuses. Anyone who gets that 25% boost, you get those petals, you get that big combat boost that's equivalent to, you know, full item worth of value on multiple members of your team, and that can be very difficult to deal with, especially going into these 5v5 team fights that are a lot more coordinated, a lot less scattered, and a lot more deadly.
Absolutely. We're going to see about this time the mid prior will start to be contested as well. We are just about a minute away from the Drake. The third third Chemtech Drake, sorry, my brain is all over the place, of the game. As now down in the bot side, Ray onto Pikemon. He pops the Sorelias, but again, caught in the Hextech ultimatum, and he will have his health bar completely deleted. You have 0 recourse if you are this Cho'Gath, and that very easily could open up the Atacon as a possibility. The bot wave did kind of just crash for free, so there is nothing to play for on that side. They're just going to look to rotate it round to mid, maybe even try to go for the Baron instead. Make this a bigger play than it could have been otherwise. As Mutt has just hit 16. He hits the root onto 21. And he also hits the ultimate as well. The Frozen Tomb. The flash forward to chase away the flashing Ahri. A Spirit Rush and a flash still isn't enough. And Mutt will escape with the use of his teleport as well.
Yep, and being able to pull that off, get out for free, just keep stacking this Dark Seal. And every time it looks like, hey, maybe Bloom found an ankle, maybe they found something, Mutt just there to completely stop it dead in its tracks, right? Has not been able to be stopped so far. You've gotten 2 of the kills, but has always been able to get values in the fights where they go down. Same with Perfect Tempo, right? Hasn't gone down at all, actually. Full 11 assists with the 19 kills on the board. Has just been roaming around everywhere. And now looking for Soul Point. Going to be no contest here. Going to pick up that 3rd Chemtech drag, making their shields even stronger, making them do a lot more damage, the ability haste as well, heal and shield power. You got all of this value coming down, sort of coming in increments, but is still just helping so much. And
Yeah.
now with the Infinity Edge finished on the Misfortune, the Zanya's almost finished on Mutt. Oop,
Mutt has
had to be careful.
here.
Almost went over the
Oh.
nice claw. Nice claw.
Great Duke. It looked, from Luke's point of view, like the blast can send him further, so he flagged and dragged a little bit further away. But Mutt played that very well. He could even look for the ring. He's just going to steal the Grump over the wall, actually. Perfect timing. That was completely blind, I believe, from his point of view. And he still has the perfect timing to steal that frog away. A great bit of mind play and nothing else.
Yep. And the ability to do this, the ability to pull off these plays, I think it kind of shows from draft that we kind of knew, like, if Bloom does not get ahead early, if they do not keep the ball rolling super quickly, it's going to be very hard for them to actually outpace this team. Because the Dravenari, very strong together, but they fall off pretty quickly. They're really easy to get stopped, especially if you have good counter engage. And that's exactly what Mutt Perfect Tempo have been playing for. Being able to use the CC very, like in a very versatile way. Being able to use it for engage, for peel, for really whatever they want to do, depending on the current game state. And that's flexibility that Bloom just doesn't have.
Absolutely. I've just spent like about 30 seconds trying to work out what this Ari's doing. It looks like she's going for the really long way around to Zonya's. Doesn't want to stop off of the early stasis instead. Went for the needlessly large rod a bit earlier. So going to be delayed on that stasis. And that could allow for a Baron start coming in on the other side. And there is zero response to this right now.
Yeah, there's really nothing to get done.
They're going to take Atakan.
So, okay, so they'll get something in return. But I still think the pressure that Drop Dead are going to be able to get from this Baron is probably going to outweigh the combat potential that you have on this Atakan. Now, after the Baron's over, you end up a little bit positive on this trade. But between the gold, between the advantage that they're going to be able to get for the next 3 minutes...
as well.
Yeah,
they are
just
already on
down
the
these
towers. They didn't look for the back after the Baron. They didn't choose to use those recalls because they suspected there is no one on this map. Maybe they are doing the Atakan while we're doing this. If we can stick around, we can get these towers down early. Make use of this Baron play as fast as possible. Already up to an 8k gold lead. Now Luke is stuck all alone in the side lane with Mutt. Or maybe it's the other way around as Mutt is forced to go golden early. He does have another stasis. There it comes already in the form of his ultimate teleport coming in from the Camille now as well. Ray going to try and save his mid laner, but does he get here in time? Yes, he does. Does he do the damage? No, he doesn't. Pikemon on the ultimate. The Hextech ultimatum will come through, and it should be a trade overall. But here comes the teleport now from 21. The flash in onto Pikemon. He gets away. How is he getting away with this? The hookshot will finally take him down, but the Spirit Rush is now out from 21. Instead, it'll be Luke to steal away the kill. Mid-tier 3 is the cost of this.
Their base is getting hammered while this is all happening.
Overall, I mean, both solo laners now Baronless. I think you'll take it. Question mark?
Yeah, I mean, overall, 2 for 1. You lose your inhib, unfortunately, but I still think that's net positive for Bloom, right? They're able to get 2 big shutdowns, able to get TP out, able to secure the, you know, really a defense that they shouldn't have been able to get. And Banana Man now has waves to farm, right? There's nothing coming for another minute and 30 seconds, right? You're going to have to fight your way into Soul, but getting Super Gold onto your carries at this point in the game, probably more valuable than having that inhibitor down, so long as you're able to win this next fight. So long as you're able to fight your way into the Soul, you're going to be able to use the fact that you have Baron off both those solar laners, you're going to be able to use this value to fight it in, then those super minions aren't a problem. However, on the flip side, you go down, that is still 3 strong Baron members. They can barrel down mid if you lose a fight.
If you lose this badly, you will lose the game.
Yeah.
Soul fight is massive, and it does have to be contested from 8,000 gold down. Can Bloom do it, or will their game 1 end here? We'll find out in just a few seconds, as the posturing has already begun. 40 seconds until that fateful soul is on the map, and already the Sorelias is forced out. Pikemon has to try and run away, and he will still take a huge amount of damage just from the Sky Splitter. I'm surprised the Volibear does that much damage on this build. As 21 doesn't want to wait for any of those damage to go. He's just going to go in straight away. Here's the charm. Beautiful charm onto Blush. But he doesn't find... No, Luke will instead flash onto the backline. He stays alive. Is he alive still? He gets one onto the Ahri in return. A massive play from Blush. But it might not matter in the long play as Pleb also falls. Somehow, Bloom have maneuvered their way in. They will lose their top inhib for this, but Pikemon has already reset with the Symbiotic Souls. He gets there pretty fast. No ult on his behalf. He'll clear the wave out, and that will be 3-3 now on the Drake score.
Yeah, and it wasn't the Camille up there splitting, so not going to be able to get the tower. Huge charm from 21 there to be
Perfect
able
Tempo
to
is just
win
going
that
to try and
fight.
stop these backs. They're going to try and end the game right now. They're just going to take top inhib.
I don't.
He's going to die for this. But the Corki has
Yeah,
already managed to escape. He does have Flash, and he does a Mega Blast Code as well, so you send the Jarvan away. He does escape at the cost of your support Flash. Not great on your main engage. I guess overall you get the top inhib. It's something that they've calculated. They've said this is a worthwhile play. We will make it, and we'll make the best of a
I
bad situation.
I don't know if it is worth it though, because with 2 minutes.
Couple of technical issues here. We'll be back in a second with video for us. The stream seems to be carrying on though, so we will carry on talking.
Oh, there we go. We're just
Huzzah.
right back in. All right, much better. Yeah, and like you were saying, right? It's they get the value there. They get the inhibitors. But if Bloom are able to defend, they get a lot of CS. They get a lot of free gold. Rescued can be able to back it off, and Pleb forced to ult.
Rescue might not be able to back it off. The Zenith Blade over the top. Perfect Tempo goes deep. The Pleb goes even deeper. And now onto the back lane. Even deeper is Mutt. He has found the solo ADC. Pykemon is getting destroyed in the side lane, by the way, by Ray. Somehow, Banana Man actually escaped from the mid laner, but now 21 is left all alone. Luke will look to isolate Mutt in the 1v1. The Thunderdome is not enough. The TP comes in from Ray as well after getting the solo kill on his top laner. Luke will fall, and now it is Banana Man left all alone. 1v4. Does he have the wave clear against the double inhib? No ultimate even now as well. He's completely out of Rockies. He will get dove under the Nexus turret, and that will be game one handed over to Dead Drop.
Yeah, tried to fight their hardest, but in the end, Bloom was just behind at every point in this game. They had some good fights, they had some good moments, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do when you're getting run down this hard, when you're losing every fight, when you're losing every objective. Good plays early game, tried to maneuver around it, but in the end, Drop Dead just had much better coordination, much better team fighting, much better map control.
Yeah, and when you are better in all those key categories, it really does start to stack up. As we look at the damage charts coming out of that game, Blush, it didn't feel like he was, contributing all too much during the more boring phases of the game, but when the fights came around, 30,000 damage on the board, on the Misfortune, the bullet time really enabling his team to get so much damage dealt in those team fights, and Rescued wasn't quite able to match that with the door, and it really took its toll.
Yep. And eventually, when you're playing like this, when you're just playing this aggressive, when you're playing fast and loose with it, and you're playing champions that don't scale as well, if you don't get those engages, if you don't get those strong early plays, this is what happens. And I think we saw it most in the mid lane. 21 mistiming a lot of those charms, especially in the trades, led to like slow advantages for Mutt, right? The first couple levels, it's not complete death, but you lose out those trades. You give Mutt openings to take you down, to poke you out, and eventually, if you do miss a charm, when you do get very poked out, you just die. And we saw that. Same thing with once you get that level 6 online, if you're not using it when you need to be, if Mutt's able to get enough damage, they can just commit the Frozen Tomb before you can get the Spirit Rush, and now you die again, and it just was over and over again. Really nice charms in the late game. Thought maybe you could bring it back with that, but unfortunately the early game loss was just a little bit too much to handle.
Yeah, and it was quite the early game, especially for their drop. They performed so well early on at that. We'll see how they perform in the early game of our game 2 after a short little break. We'll be back in a couple minutes with that game 2 draft.
Am I stuck in a world that I fear? No escape, nowhere to go. From here, then it goes.
Hello and welcome back to the series between Bloom and Drop Dead Gaming. 1-0 to Drop Dead after the first one. You see the champs that were picked in that first game. They are banned out for the second using our Fearless draft. So heading into the second game, what do Bloom need to do differently? What do Drop Dead need to do the same? What do we think when it rains?
Honestly, if I had to call it, I think the main thing here is that Bloom need a bit of wiggle room in their game plan, especially knowing that, this is not, LCK. You run these comps that have so little room to work with. You miss one charm, you miss one bad trade, suddenly it's significantly harder to deal with, especially like you're at a level where people are competent enough to punish you for those mistakes, but you're not there. You're not going to get the insane outplays. You can get a lot of good things done, but eventually it does end up being a comp difference. So I think both teams drafting a more cohesive game plan is going to help out, right? Drop Dead, I think, had a lot of cohesion. They had a lot of ways to maneuver around fights. They had a lot of things that they could do. Bloom, it feels like they sort of like drafted that Arya and the Jarvan and the Corki and then just completely threw it out the window for the back half of the draft because they felt they had to protect against this Camille and Leona.
Yeah, that's what we picked up on while game one, while we were looking at those drafts. It's trying to make sure you keep to one identity and really locking in on that identity instead of switching between them. You can really pen yourself into some really awkward positions, like we saw, where half your team wants to go forward, half your team wants to peel, and none of your team can do anything together. It ended up in a little bit of a uncoordinated, that's the word, for uncoordinated game overall for Bloom. Looking at some of these bans, the Echo is a target ban. That is something I know for a fact that Pleb loves to run in the jungle. He has 69 games played on at this split. I'm not sure he's allowed to play any more in ranked solo duo, but he has the perfect number already played. The rest of the bans pretty standard, but they haven't banned Gwen, so here it is first.
Yep, and the Gwen first pick, obviously we've seen a lot of Gwen jungle nowadays changed a little bit, not as strong as it used to be, but still very viable. So being able to get that flexibility out is, I think, a very good move. The Kai'Sa also very strong right now, and having the Corki get taken away, one of those big counters, is definitely a very good option. Also stops maybe an Ezreal pick that pairs well with the Gwen, so just deciding to go for that, we might see, like, as I did some of the classics, but overall I think a very good pick, a lot of flexibility in build paths, so I think both teams really keeping it open right now. The Nautilus, obviously a very good pairing, but both teams generally still a lot of room to work with. A lot more than we saw last draft.
Yeah, and Drop Dead, they have many different ways they can pivot this draft, whether they want to use the Kai'Sa in a little bit more of the crit AD that we're seeing popping up recently, or whether they want to go back to those kind of mixed hybrid builds where you start off on the on-hit, build it into the AP eventually. Lots of options still up and available. You pointed out the Xayah as a potential counter pick. It looks like it could come through to fruition. The Rakan is also there. Rakan into Nautilus can be quite the skill matchup for the supports. So I would be fascinated to see if Bloom do choose to pick into that, or if they choose to go another way. I guess we're just going to have to find out. It looks like the Alistar is favored instead.
Yep, and I like this. Good poke, like we said. The side just answers Kai'Sa. Gonna go for something that can engage, but also can knock away one of those divers if they try to go in. So a little bit of peel, a little bit more to work with, but both bot lanes very similar. The Xayah Kai'Sa, obviously a very, very popular matchup that we've seen many, many, many times. Relatively neutral, but still with lots of ways to deal with each other. Obviously, Kai'Sa can reposition around the feathers, Xayah can dodge out on a lot of the initial bursts, so it really does come down to being a skill matchup.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see coming in from our ADCs. The final pick for Dead Drop. Interested to see what they go. Is that just locked? He just locked a Z. Okay. He has just locked a Z. That can go either way. I know for a fact Mutt is a big fan of the Zed. It can be flexed into jungle, though I don't anticipate it. A Zed blind in 2025?
Okay. We're
This
not
isn't
hearing
2013
anything in
anymore.
draft, right? Like that is an actual Zed pick. It
No,
looks
that's
like
an actual Zed pick. Like this is a Zed in 2025.
blind Zed in 2020, the year of our Lord 2025, the year of our Lord Smash in 2025. We are seeing Zed. Absolute insanity. This isn't something I've seen in any competitive game in a very long time, much
Not
less
blind.
blind, and into a Xayah, a Gwen, and an Alistar, no less. Drop dead or feeling themselves.
I mean, if there's any way, if there's anyone you really want to get on, it is none of these champs, right? The Xayah has an insane amount of self peel. The Gwen is immune, not of course if you are right on top of her, but the Alistar is the bouncer of the club as well. A shocking pick here, especially taking it blind. It can be taken mid or jungle, so if they can find something for the top lane here, leave it as the flex. I don't necessarily mind it. The top pool has been pinched a little bit. It appears that Bloom think that the Zed is heading mid though with the Wukong ban. I think I tend to agree with him. Mutt has got 21 games played this split, but I am still in shock as the pick has to come through finally, and it's an Elise. Okay, they are they are nuts.
Yeah, this is
They're
complete.
crazy.
I don't know if you call it. I mean, yeah, I feel like you just gotta call it disrespect, right? Obviously, it was a bit of a difference in the mid lane last game, but still, this is something that we haven't seen in a very long time, and very, very aggressive, to say the least.
Yeah. Going over to Bloom, they seem to be trying to keep everything on the more standard side, taking the Cassante, moving the Gwen down to the jungle, just a mid laner to pick. And with the Gwen now in the jungle, you want to look for something with a bit more AD instead, and it will be the Yasuo. Yasuo into Zed. What year are we in?
Like,
Oh, no,
I'm literally lost. Okay, I was like, I'm
Don't do that to
literally
me.
lost for words now. We're just gonna go with the Galio. I'm
Zed, though?
wondering if it's gonna be Galio top potentially if they go for a
Cassante
magic
mid?
top lane, but I mean it could be. I know Galio could
Okay.
also be mid, and instead of going for the magic, they're just gonna go for a like more armor oriented or like bruisery tank build, or if make our Zanya's rush potentially just to get some armor items in, or just going to try and use the base stats to eat the Zed and use that benefit to try and get the Gwen and play
That
more for
lot,
your
by the way.
jungler, play more for the roams. Could make sense, but still, I drop dead. Obviously, insane aggressive comp. Bloom, very beefy frontline, like we said, but still, just like last game, if your main carries go down, if that Xayah goes down early in the fight, which against a Kai'Sa, Zed, and an Elise, definitely very possible, there's not going to be as much, right? Obviously, Cassante and Galio do a lot of damage for being tanks, but they just don't have that same level of damage output, especially if your main carries go down and you still have a lot of utility up. It can be very hard for them to find ways in onto the backline to actually get that damage out.
Yeah, I am still reeling from this Galio pick as well. Taking Galio is typically something we see when you have the AP lane that you want to try and mitigate, find a way into the late game, find the team fights where Galio really comes into his own. Against the Zed, I feel that is going to be one of the more miserable lane phases that we're ever going to see. 21 didn't have a very fun lane phase in that first game, and
No,
it
he
might
did
be about
not.
to get worse. How does okay? I'm doing some research. How does Galio perform into Zed? I'm not used to these matchups, man.
Don't blame you. That is a matchup of all time that we've decided to opt ourselves into.
Galio apparently has a 48% win rate into Zed, and it is called a bad lane by DPM. They go into 15 minutes, 600 gold down on average. So,
yikes.
Not the most fun time, but you do, of course, have that late game team fight that we point out earlier. Sending it in I am still trying to work out how these two drafts really go up against each other. It's clearly beefcakes against non-beefcakes. But just how these two interact is going to be so fascinating this game.
Yeah, you can say that again. I don't know if I have any like high level analysis I can do here.
Is there any? Is there
any
anything
available?
ever?
Like, can I say something? Is it just? It feels so insane. Like, what even is there to talk about right now? Right? Like, obviously you have the comp, yeah, things going, but like, this is I genuinely don't know how this is going to play out. It seems so insane, just every angle I look at it from.
Well, in that case, then we're going to let it stew for a couple of minutes while the client draft goes on. We're going to think it over. We'll be back with you guys once we are onto the riff for this game too. But if this draft is anything to go by, do not move a muscle.
No.
Dark clouds move closer, but with a deeper sweat. Oh, beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their face. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until our last breath. So what is to be left for us? My people look on and say, don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands
Welcome back onto the Rift for this game 2 in the series between Bloom and Drop Dead Gaming. We are just getting into things. One of the spiciest drafts I think I have ever seen. I'm sure you would agree with me when it rains. This is a crazy one.
Yeah, definitely. Everything we've seen is absolutely absurd. I think they've been spotted out at 21, given the cowbell, but yeah, there's not enough movement. Galio was just in range to see him out. But yeah, it's so hard to see because, like, obviously, like, the roles are what we expected, but it's still insane to see a Zed Elise in the big 2025.
Yeah,
Now, granted, Conquer gives them a
shocked.
little bit more openings for items and stuff, but it's still...
I'd love to see the electrocute. In its powerful as it is state right now, I am almost disappointed we didn't see it again. Interesting that we got the same level 1 coming out that we saw in our game 1, the exact same coming in from Drop Dead when they go on the invade. This time, well, it's on the red side invade, but it's down instead of up because they have swapped their own Nexus. Looking into this early part of the game, both junglers once again on pretty good vision, so should be tracked very effectively. We're going to keep our eyes on the Zed in mid. We're going to keep our eyes on K'Sante and Garen, and of course on the North, already hitting a hook onto the Alistair as well. We are going to have to just keep our eyes absolutely everywhere because there is going to be action. We just don't know when, and we don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah,
it might come in already.
Keep your eyes.
It might come in as fast as that. Perfect tempo doesn't want to miss a hook right now. And Mutt and Banana, they're just going to go for an all-in trade. Neither of them have Ignite. They both have teleport. What is this?
Mutt's not committing to the bit. Not committing to the bit. No Ignite Zed.
No Ignite Zed. Unfortunate. That's about the only odd thing when we look at these runes right now. We do see an Ignite Garen. Big respect on that one.
True.
So at least there is that. But early game, I mean, this Galio's magic shield is completely negated by the fact you're up against Zed, which is I'm so shocked they even chose this as an option into it. Mutt looking to prove me right, looking to prove Bloom and their choice in their mid lane completely wrong. Having a look back through that draft, I was wondering if potentially there was a Quinn angle. Quinn mid has seen a little bit of a rise recently. Apparently into Zed, it is quite a disgusting matchup. Interesting to get your take on that while we have a bit of a quiet open game, early game.
That.
And I lied. We don't have a quiet early game because there's a Zed in the game.
What?
And that's First Blood. Okay, well, my bad. Galio was the perfect pick. Did cost the flash of Banana Man. But yeah, First Blood for free.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the things that I was thinking with Galio, right? Is that, like, early game, it's a bit harder to capitalize on because Banana Man with the Aftershock, once you go in, you can kind of just get taunted, and Banana Man will end up winning those trades 9 times out of 10, because a lot of your burst is going to come into an Aftershock. Meanwhile, the Galio gets to get a full combo rotation off on you, and you're just stuck there doing pennies for damage. So the Zed going down, not a great early showing, but, you know, there's plenty of time in the game. Hopefully we can see some exciting Zed plays.
Ooh,
nice engage in the bot lane,
perfect
though.
tempo, does not want to miss a single one of these. He pops the Ignite as well, and that will force both summoners out of Master. The sub has departed this game. Rescued was just here for the first one. Did rescue them in terms of being able to play the game. Unfortunately, for the side of Drop Dead, they now have a much more efficient ADC on the other side of the Rift, as they will actually invest the Ignite in top side. I didn't expect that to be used already, but Ray will pop that for little to no effect. You point out how much the
Nice
Galio's
call
going to
there.
do with this Aftershock. He might even just get the kill once more. That all-in trade goes his way.
Huge execute.
The top lane as well. Ray will find the Galio. They're going to go deeper on this. Elise has the ability to repel into the sky, and Ray perfectly juggling on the tower as well.
Wait, did Ray flash Q the tower? He didn't take aggro at the end there. Did he flash Q the tower so that he wouldn't die to the tower aggro?
He might have hit the tower instead of the Gwen, and it might have worked. The Pleb will be a sneaky little spider. Hits the cocoon onto Luke, and that'll third kill already. This early game, I said it was quiet, and I've instantly been proven wrong.
Instantly. And, you know, I think he did hit on the tower because he didn't take tower aggro. I think that was the correct play, though, because I don't think that Q flash kills, and I think you just die to it. Oh, but now
the Plasma's prop.
21.
Oh my god. Through the aftershock. If that aftershock had fallen off a second earlier,
Yeah, if Blush had had the
would have
lethal
fallen.
tempo 1 auto earlier, just so many ways that could have gone hilariously wrong. Master in 21 playing on a knife's edge, and has to be careful because if that's okay. I was about to say if the Kaisa has the mana, if Blush has the mana for a W, she's gonna fire it off into that bush. But taking it back, free angle, and yeah. And in the mid lane too with that fight, right? Banana Man had a really nice Justice Punch call, knocked Mutt right as he tried to take that W. Unfortunately, didn't have the value that Aftershock wore off just a little bit too soon, and Mutt was able to land that kill, but really, really close for both of them. Still going in, and
again.
yeah,
Those trades,
Aftershock trades.
The short trades will favor, but the long trades where those shadows start to go across will really chunk through Banana Man's HP. I think from Mutt, is this the Eclipse Z build?
Well, I'd imagine since you're running the Conqueror, you probably do want to play more around that CDR.
Yeah. I pointed out the Conqueror, it's got me thinking, he goes all in already. The ultimate has gone.
Yeah.
The shadows do so much damage, but it's not how much this Zed is doing in the early game. A second solo kill found for Mutt. The third solo kill in the mid lane, but this time it does go the Zed's way. He wins the best of 3 already.
Yeah, and I think that was a big misplay from Banana Man. Obviously, you don't have the Aftershock. You use all your cooldowns. You're building Ruby Crystals, buddy. You're building a Bomby Cinder. You do not deal damage to that Zed. You are not going to win that 1v1, especially at this stage in the game. Now Mutt, almost a full level up, 2 kills, a bunch of plates. His team already almost 2,000 gold, actually over 2,000 gold up in this game. Drop Dead just doing such a good job playing this early game once again.
Yeah, but they have picked a lot of early game champs, so the way back in right now for Bloom is just to stabilize. If you can hold on, if this is a 2k lead at 20 minutes, you're very happy. If it's a 2k lead now, you're quite unhappy. They need to try and level out how bad it's going. Pikemon on the top side gets a disgusting trade into him. That is a level 7 Garen. You do not want to flip him closer. Even landing the Q3 is not probably a good thing for him there. As the bot side comes in once more, and Pleb is down here now, looking to go to 21. The Aftershock isn't there anymore. Blush tanks up the tower a little bit early. Ignite onto Perfect Tempo, but he doesn't tank the turret shots, and he will just escape.
Yep. And this is what we were talking about, right? A lot of this time, you go for these fights, you play this early game fast and loose. Again, it doesn't work out if you don't land these angles.
Look, who hits again? Oh my god, look at least damage. He has a Haunting Guise, by the way, and he just completely obliterated
the root!
that Alistair. But the root comes in. The Blade Caller from Master gets a 2-man, and Banana Man as well on the Galio flies in. The Gargoyle protects the Vastaya, and it is a 2-for-1 play as now comes on the other side. Ray using the Demacian Justice, but it doesn't hit the Execute. Pikemon doesn't quite have the range to hit his own Q2. So both players will escape from that in the top side. What is...
Almost a certified Cassante 2 bajillion years moment out there. But no, yeah, like you were saying, Master, really great play with that Blade Caller. Nice dodge from Mutt. Has to land the kill, though. Yeah. 21's already around here. Can't go for the dive. So Mutt being able to get out there is very nice. Using the ult to dodge out on the taunt, I think, was really smart, knowing that there's a lot of people off the map that you could probably don't want to get taunted out there. That's a very dangerous position to be in. But 2 big shutdowns going on to Master doesn't even up the gold lead, but it does put the gold that they do have exactly where they want it.
Absolutely. The Xayah is where it is completely needed this game. You look at the other team, they are all trying to kill your ADC. So having your ADC fed, having the ability to put out the damage before she goes down, or maybe even just survive by killing them faster is precisely what Bloom need. And they have started to equalize this. We pointed it out when it was a 2k lead. It's still a 2k lead about 3 minutes on. So overall, from those plays, managing to get out a little bit on the lighter side, as what is not lighter is this mid lane. Banana Man and Mutt are going blow for blow. And I think overall it's going to start to favor this Zed because he just seems to thrive in these situations.
Yeah, I think you were spot on. And the big thing I'm looking at going into this 10 to 15 minutes, when you get into these second couple drags, when you get into these heralds, these late rounds of grubs, you have people starting to get those big one-item spikes, right? And that's the biggest difference you tend to see all game, is that no item to one-item spike when you have those effects. Big engage though.
Trample
Blush has to be
lands the
careful.
stun onto Blush, but the plasma proc the other way. The junglers are here.
Junglers
They know
here.
exactly the action. The flash cocoon lands onto Mark, and he's instantly obliterated.
Master!
He hits all three. 21 cannot quite save his ADC though. He will get the kill over onto his jungler. Luke will do his best in the 1v3. Mutt is down here though already, and that will be 2 kills handed over to the Elise. Perfect timing on the
so
counter gank.
unfortunate.
And the death mark as well puts so much damage into Luke. He cannot quite survive the 1v3. It is now Banana Man left just to collect the wave.
That was so unfortunate too. Master landed such a nice blade collar and
He
it
might
just
not
didn't
even be able to
matter.
collect the wave here.
Uh,
Use the aftershock. He might
okay.
be fine. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I think Perfect Tempo probably could have pulled and gotten some value there, especially since the Galio doesn't have anyone to Justice Punch too aggressively, maybe out if they wanted, but you know, I like it, you know, playing it safe. Don't want to throw your lead away. Don't want to threaten that potential, so quite smart, but yeah, no, once again, Drop Dead, just a super huge lead at 11 minutes, just really far ahead, mostly coming off of jungle and mid difference that we've been seeing, and it's feeling rough for Bloom. It's feeling like a lot of what happened last game, right? Where your ADC is the only one with real gold value, is the only one that's going to be able to actually do anything, and everyone else is just struggling to keep up.
Yeah, and it is, of course, just as I say, they're starting to equalize. They do lose another 1,000 gold compared to their opponents. The map is kind of falling apart already in this one. You point out, it is kind of just the Xayah who is the strong point. The Gwen has hit Nash's spike, so there is a glimmer of hope there at the very least, but if she's not able to pull through when Master falls, and it feels like it is a when Master falls right now, because that Elise is terrifying even on Leandri, so maybe it isn't going to be enough. We will have to find out as the rest of the game progresses. Looking towards the second rotation of Grubs, they have just come up onto the map. There's also a second Drake. Whichever these teams do choose to go, likely to be the one for the other, but it might instead be the gank onto bot side, and Mutt will just have to shadow his way out of there. But here comes Pleb on the counter gank. He is ready for Luke to be here. Here's the cocoon again. That is half of Luke's HP gone in an instant. Every single time. The needlework does massive work though, but he still will fall in the end. Luke cannot quite get Pleb, who will finally fall to the auto attack of Banana Man. Look at the rest of the fight though. Master has been found in the backside. The Ignite with its collector buff collects Master, and now you're down 2 for 1. Again, a positive play found by Drop Dead that may turn the other way. Blush with a little bit of an overstay. He looks to try and get 21, who will steal the kill instead, because that's what supports do right now.
I don't know why we tried to fight that onto Banana Man at 21. Like, you have the Kraken, sure, but like, are we forgetting that this is 2025 supports tank steal damage now? We have a Bomby Cinder. We're level 10 on Gallia. Like, that just feels like a very, very blatant misplay from Blush. 2 levels down to try and go for that. Especially when you don't have any of the 2 evolutions that give you any survivability or the W to get the extra passive stacks. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. It was certainly an interesting play. The big thing I'm looking at is that Drop Dead don't have many objectives for that feat, so they're probably going to be looking at the tower if they want it.
He's
finally going to be able to pick up a Void Grub, but they have a dragon, right? That's all they have. That's all they have.
Yeah, but that was the first grub rotation. I thought with it being 12 minutes that we would be further on in grubs, but looking at
so we're probably not even going to get to our second round, right?
Definitely not. It's going to go straight to the Rift Herald, spawning in 2 minutes' time. Pikemon will cancel the base of Ray at the top side, and now the Drakes become that much more important because there's so much less threat on the turrets. This is something we don't see a lot in the current season. When they push the Rift Herald timer back, it's a lot more common that you get the second rotation of grubs being collected as supportive combat. Avec ADCs in the mid lane will, in Drake now point it out, it really has a lot more impact on the rest of this game.
Yeah, and what we're looking at for Bloom is playing around the Zaya, right? It's a big deal. Banana Man has just gone for the Sunfire, has the Dark Seal, sure, but is basically just building full tank with the Dark Seal at this point. Most of your gold on any viable answer is going to be on the Zaya, needs to be able to hit those 3 items, because if you're not, you're just going to get run over. You do not have anywhere near enough damage to survive Pleb, and Mutt, and Blush, and Rail, all coming for you at once. The Cassante, the Frozen Fit, right? But you're, what, 1 item Cassante? You're not going to be beating the Scarin in a side lane. Your number 1 answer is to play around the Saya, position around her in team fights, and go for plays that Drop Dead don't expect, like sneaking away this dragon. The second you see them off the map, just going to take it, gun for it, try and get out. And that's a very smart use of their time. Bloom being able to pick that up, making sure that Drop Dead aren't able to just pick up that second drag for free is going to be a massive deal, in slowing them down just a little bit longer.
Absolutely. Infernal is the soul for this game too. Quite a ways away from either team getting the soul, but the gold lead has been kind of neutralized right now. We've had a look in a couple of times throughout this game. When it was 2k at 7 minutes, it was a lot scarier than it perhaps is now, but Pykemon still has to be very careful. That is a Garen with Stride Break in the top lane, and whatever Cassante you are, if your armor starts to get shredded, you start to become a lot less effective, and here comes Perfect Tempo as well. He hits the hook, but it is still Cassante, so he has a W, and he will escape on the Pathfinder.
Yep, not going to be able to lock that one up, and, you know, be a lot of disengage, but a lot of cooldowns used going into this potential Herald fight, so we're going to have to be really careful on how they play this out. Flash forward, though, from Pleb.
Yeah, he's just going to go all in onto the Cassante, who wants to go all himself. Flash over the wall from Pykemon. He will escape with now 21, maybe a little bit out. Mutt on the bot side, trading heavily into Barnaman. There is things happening all across the Rift right now, and we are entering the phase of the game where it's just balls to the walls, maximum degeneracy. Rift Herald will be the result of all this top side aggression. Look at the vision coming through right now. Drop Dead have so much presence on the top side, it's impossible to push in. They'll hand over the Rift Herald to their top laner as well. Not the typical choice there.
No, but I think knowing that Garen is just putting so much pressure in the side lane, and that you're winning all these grouped up team fights anyway, means that if you give it to your Garen, you're opening up space for the rest of your team to do whatever they want, and the Garen is just so much more of a threat.
Yeah, and it's something to consider as well as we head into the later portion of this game. Cassante has TP. He will be there when he is needed. Garen, on the other hand, will either be split pushing or he has to be there from the start. It is a little bit more difficult to really get the coordination that you require on this champ. So sending that Rift Herald into the side lane, getting your Garen further ahead may just be the play for Drop Dead, as top laners are doing their weird little top lane thing, dancing in the wave, whatever.
Look, top laners are an endangered species, alright? It's every time they walk up for a wave, they just get ganked, and it's been happening so much recently that we're starting to lose our native top laner population.
He is caught out in a bush that is warded. Tells him that it's warded with a couple of snips to the face. So we head back to top lane, because that's where anyone is actually hitting each other. The rest of the lanes are quietly farming up to their next item spike. Speaking of item spike, Blush already on the 2 item spike, and it looks like he's going for the more default Kai'Sa build, where you start to send it towards the ability power.
Yeah, and this is a very classic hybrid Kai'Sa build, right? You get 80 item into the Ginsu, into the Nashers. It's going to level up all of your abilities and let you play for a more hybrid-oriented build. And when you have a Zed in the mid lane and a Garen up top, you can definitely afford to not have as much AD on your bot lane or do a lot more mixed damage.
You absolutely can. 21's just going to have to flash his way over that wall. He did get caught by the depth charge. Perfect. So a very good escape found by the Alistair in the end. Heading down, there is a lot of trading going on in terms of HP, but no objectives on the map for them to really be battling over just yet. The dragon will spawn in a minute, but there is a bit less priority than average, with the soul being so far away from both teams.
Yeah, and this game has a pretty good chance of ending before we even get to soul, quite honestly. Just based on how it's been paced, how much kills have been going through.
He definitely wants to end it before the soul even gets close. He's going to run down Banana Man, send him to base instantly.
But yeah, this is that Bruiser Zed build we were talking about, right? The Eclipse, the Black Cleaver.
Yeah.
I'll pause as we have a fight. Nice stun from 21, but just gonna disengage. Pokemon using the TP for a whole lot of nothing right now. Gonna give a massive opening for Raid to go up in that top side, drop that Herald,
He
and
has
put a
the
lot of pressure
Herald.
down. Could be Dragon for Bloom, but with, again, like we were talking, how far away that soul is, I don't know if giving up potentially 2, maybe 3 towers is worth this Dragon. You need to send someone up there and answer that, Garen.
And there goes Banana Man. It will, in fact, because you send the Galio over there, though, mean that you're not going to be able to contest for this dragon as easily. He doesn't have teleport advantage over the Garen. He's used. It is currently being charged up. So when this dragon spawns, just because of the threat the Garen has in the side lane, it is forced someone to respond, and now the Dragon Pit is theirs to suddenly take a lead in the Soul Chase. A little bit of vision being cleared out by 21. He will escape the hook with perfect tempo for now. Luke dashes right back into the pit. The dragon is all the way down, and it will be collected by Pleb. A 1300 smite, I think that's the last thing I saw, but he will fall for it unless somehow he's able to escape. No, it's a Pels guy's also escaping with a slither of HP. Ray did get his way over there, but he will flash away. It is now perfect tempo, left alone in the backline. Master will Featherstorm his way up to the skies, Breakall his way through, massive route, but he will fall. A perfect hook found, perfect tempo. A 1-for-1 play so far, but there is no more Zaya left alive. And the Garen moment definitely found onto the Cassante. The health bars are so low for Drop Dead, but they are not dropping dead just yet as Luke looks to go flashing in all the way deep. A snip to the head, and Mert will unfortunately not be able to trade it back. Banana Man picks it up in the end, so Drake goes over to Drop Dead, but the gold lead is really starting to equalize.
Yeah, and Master just played that entire start of that fight beautifully. It inevitably went down to a hook when we were securing the kill because his entire team had to back up there, but just doing such a good job kiting back the Garen, saving that ultimate for the dive from Pleb, and making sure that he could get all that damage down meant that everyone on Drop Dead was pretty much gone by the time that Master fell, and the rest of his team could come and swoop up the rest of those kills. And, you know, the flash forward from Luke taking out Blush, and then Mutt, again, just getting a little bit too greedy there, not accounting for Banana Man just walking up with that passive auto on Galio, and wasn't able to pick up that kill. So, yeah, a goldie that was absolutely massive. Now even up to about 1,000. The bright side, Pleb obviously was able to get that kill, but putting a lot of those shutdowns onto the carries is very, very meaningful for Bloom. As before, pretty much all your gold was onto Zaya. Everyone else was just struggling on pennies. So now that they're able to secure that, it's going to be very, very easy for them to try and fight their way back into this game. It's not so much of a one-sided fight anymore. You have a lot more ways to work with.
The Cocoon lands onto 21, and half his health bar will be deleted instantly. He's just going to pop the Unbreakable Will, he doesn't give a damn about any of this health being traded his way. Master, on the other hand, sends out 1,000 feathers, but it will not be enough to get anything on the other side. A bit of a nothing play happening lane as the top tier 2 seems to be the macro play for Drop Dead. They get this? They should do. Taunted. You're going to go for the ultimate just to try and disengage from the tower. Goes untargetable. Gets away with 700 gold onto the Zed. Beautiful play there from Mutt. Does cost himself that ultimate, but at the end of the day, you probably trade that, especially with the amount of pressure that's generated. Now the Garen is left alone in the side lane. He gets another. Macro is really the difference between these two teams right now. And they're going to go mid again. The hook from Perfect Tempo is perfect. 21 is forced onto a slither, and there comes Mutt roaming off the top side play. Amazing map play.
Yeah, and right now, not looking great, right? Obviously, you thought you had an angle on that. 21 goes down. Gonna look for something, potentially Luke on the flying Pleb.
Pleb got caught off guard there. Depth charge onto Luke will find absolutely nothing. Ray on the bot side just forced to clear out unless he wants to face the Wrath of Pikemon, but yeah, a little bit of an overstay overall, but still, the map play coming in from Drop Dead is so clean.
Yep, pretty interesting there. Drop Dead, they're able to get that kill, push down the tower, but Pleb just not accounting for that bush. And it's going to give way for Bloom to start up this Otacon.
Yeah, no jungler for another 10 seconds, so they will start it up. It is the Ruinous variety, loads of flowers to collect afterwards. I believe Drop Dead know this is happening and know they can do absolutely nothing to stop it. Ray is just waiting in the bot lane for the minions to come because there's 5 people here and there are no one on his team anywhere even close. There it will fall. You can leave the Gwen to go pick up the flowers well. She has a lot of attack speed to go get them, so more than happy. That'll give them a pretty decent XP lead heading into the rest of this game.
Yeah. I just, it's very hard to see. Like, Drop Dead are playing very similar to the way they did last game. It just seems that Bloom are doing a much better job of adapting this time around, right? Sort of learning from their mistakes, learning where they could find the angles, where last game they looked lost. This game, you know, they're still struggling, they're still falling for some of these traps, but they're capitalizing on a lot of the mistakes much better. They kind of know what's coming. They've seen it before, and it's exactly what's happening on
goes
Mutt.
deep. He goes super deep. He's going to get taunted. That was insanely deep. Finds a way out, though, because is, at the end of the day, playing Zed. The skill expression on that chance is not to be understated. Blush went very deep himself on the killer instinct. He will be caught out. They
dove
try
right into that
to
hero's
go all in for
entrance.
Master. Yeah, and now here comes another kill as well. The Nautilus had a shutdown, by the way.
Yeah, again, perfect timing with tried to go for a 0-death game, not gonna happen this time around. But Blush just missed timing it, diving right into the Justice Punch, wasn't able to finish off Master, and now they're looking to turn it.
This is a very greedy Drake. They will get the smite. Luke wasn't quite able to get into it. He gets destroyed by Mutt as well. The damage from every single member is ginormous, and the Demacian Justice sends down a sword from the sky. It deletes Cassante from this fight, but Master has turned up. He will force Ray to flash over the wall after taking a kill of his own. So now Soul Point is there for Drop Dead, and they kind of need it because they are starting to lose the scaling fights.
Yeah, like, we're at this point where Drop Dead, they're on Soul Point now. That's very good for them. They are still in a 2k gold lead, but they're just making some mistakes, right? Mutt and Ray going more aggressive there when they know Master has just respawned and is on the way back. Like, eventually that Zaya is going to show up, right? You get the kill. Those are 2 tanks with full health bars. You don't need to keep going. You're allowed to just take what you got and leave. But they do keep going forward. Master's going to pick up another kill. And granted, Ray gets over the wall, but it's going to be forced to use the flash for it. And on the Garen right now, with all these plays, you really want to be able to get that flash justice from the sky, right? You really want to be able to get that sort of orbital laser coming down, being able to fire onto any of the carries, and you just don't have that flexibility now because you were forced to use it on an overextension.
Absolutely. It still does find a kill for his team, so the value is okay, but you point out he is now minus that key summoner for the next 5 minutes. About a minute that has ticked past. But it's going to be until that next dragon that he's really waiting to get it back. And before then, could very well be the Baron play. The team's looking to set up vision around it, as it's just going to be the posturing for the meantime. But it might even just be the start. While Luke is down here, stuck on red buff, they're just going to go for the start, and they're going to send it into TPs as well. This is free.
Yeah, and I guess we just weren't accounting for a fast Baron take. Drop Dead, you know, we're struggling, and okay, and Pikeman also wasting the TP is a big deal.
Okay, that's quite the shift in this game, if we're being honest. From out of nowhere, handing over a free 300 gold per member on to the side of Drop Dead, and now Mutt in the 1v1 against Cassante. He has got to deal with Cassante, but he's doing a very good job so far. Dodges the Pathmaker by going untargetable with the ultimate, and a massive amount of damage coming. Both of these players going all out for it. Pikemon in the 1v1. He does need his mid laner. Somehow Mutt got that kill. I didn't think he would. He dashes away to a different shadow. 21 is caught out under his own turret as well. So mid-tier 2 falls. Banana Man wasn't even able to get the trade because Mutt escaped. The wave falls.
They're just stopping back. Are they just going to end the game?
It's disgusting. Luke isn't
No
there.
way.
Luke is trying to defend bot. There are 3 people pushing through the mid inhib right now. It's just Masters to defend until Luke can get here. Bananaman still hasn't gotten the recall off. Mutt is still delaying him. As now
Master goes
Master
down.
has fallen under the turret. He used the Feather Storm, but it was too late. He does fall in the end. But Luke gets one back the other way. Here comes the Galio in.
The Justice
Teleported in.
Punch.
Justice Punch does a lot, and still the damage isn't quite there. Without the Xayah, they don't have enough to get through these champions. The Nexus
I think they
turret
stopped it, though.
taking masses. They will thin out the wave enough, and I can take a little bit of a deep breath.
Yeah, wow. Big play from Luke there. Needle Storm onto 2, just forcing out the Kaisa, making sure she couldn't get it, getting the kill onto Pleb. Really big deal. I think the game was over there if Luke doesn't pull off that hero moment. So great play from Bloom, making sure that they can stay in just a little bit longer, but still Baron on perfect tempo, still Baron on a couple members, a minute to Soul, and it's Infernal Soul. That is going to be absolutely massive. So, Kaisa as well now has that Seeker's Arm Guard, so is that one-time use Zanya's if she needs it, going to give her a lot more outs to play to in these fights, and going to let her be a lot more aggressive, diving onto Master like she has been these past couple fights.
Might need those outs though. No flash, no barrier on the Kai'Sa when the soul is spawning. Not the ideal for your ADC to be in, right? Master, sure, dies under the tower, gets dove under the Nexus effectively, but doesn't use the flash. The Feather Storm is a very temporary cooldown, especially when compared to that key summoner. So looking at now these summoners in the fight, honestly, this is a soul that Bloom probably can defend. They have a lot of these key cooldowns coming off right now, and they have to look for the time to push in, but on the other side of the map, it is completely crumbling down around them. Mutt ignores the dragon entirely, and he is just going to push for the end with the help of his Garen. Now, it comes down to if Drop Dead can hold them here. Can they stop these backs? They haven't been able to stop the Galio. He's already gone back to base. They found 21 as well. There's now the 1v2 under the Nexus. They're just going to go for the tower. They're going to completely ignore the Galio. He doesn't have the wave clear. They're just going to go for the end right in front of his face. Mutt on the Nexus tower
Shadows. The Shadows.
Mutt, can he do it? Ray gets caught out. Mutt will just try and find his way around. Now comes Plug as well.
Blush.
We're not
He's able to get it.
They find the Nexus in the end. A crazy end coming in to make it a 2-0 series. We weren't sure they were going to be able to find the end angle, but Blush, just about having an auto to spare, will get it over the line in the end.
Oh man, just the suicide rush into the Nexus, and with her dying breath, they're like, "Please, Blush, just take it." Manages to get that last auto onto the Nexus and wrap up the game. And honestly, you know, I think they could have kept playing it out, played for the soul, but they just wanted the end right then and there. And you could see when Nautilus hooks into that 3v5, it sort of goes off in your brain that like, oh, they're just stopping them from backing. They want to end right here. They want this game over and done with. And that's exactly what we see. Drop Dead with a 2-0 finish.
Yeah, 2-0, pretty dominant, all things considered, especially with how spicy their draft was for this game too. Taking the Elise Z, making it work, winning the early game just enough to get it over the line. And I think, based off of their draft, they were really scared about taking that game late. They wanted to get it over with as soon as they could. If that had been held at the Nexus, there was definitely a path back into that game. You're playing with a hyperscale ADC, a hyperscale Gwen in the jungle, and a whole lot of protection around it. There was definitely a path back into that game if Bloom had been able to hold on, but it is Drop Dead getting it over the line just about.
Yeah, and really unfortunate. Bloom it really looked like Bloom might have been able to take that one away, but Drop Dead just stopping them before they even had the chance. You know, Bloom, they had enough angles, but unfortunately, Drop Dead doing exactly what they said. They will drop dead for that Nexus. They have no fear, do not care about game score. Elise had 7 deaths that game, and it didn't feel like it, right? Elise was doing so much, but it really goes to show just dying in a smart way, right? Dying for a reason, and it feels like that's what Drop Dead were doing all game, right? Dying for a purpose, as they just were always ahead in gold, even when they got wiped with 5 shutdowns. The gold didn't swing. It was still a 1k gold deficit because they were just that far ahead. They were playing the early game that well. And I don't know. I don't think, going into the rest of the season, I don't know if Bloom are really going to be able to put on the performance they did tonight. Drop Dead, it's interesting because we saw Bloom start to adapt, and I feel like, you give them some more time, people are going to learn how to deal with Drop Dead, but as of right now, they just seem to have like one step ahead, not 5 steps ahead, but just one small step ahead at every point.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Bloom, that is now an 0-2 start to the split. They haven't yet even won a map. They got close. They had their options. They had their timing windows. But I think the key swing in that game really was giving away the Baron for free because you didn't even respect the fact that it could be started. That there was the massive moment in this game we have to draw attention to. Without that injection of gold that pushed things like the Kaiser into getting the Seeker's Arm Guard, like the Zed building the Hubris, building the Axiom Arc at the end as well, without those extra item completions, that game could very easily have swung back the other way.
Yeah, but in the end, it was Drop Dead coming out on top, 2-0. Love to see it. Congratulations to them. Fortunately, not as great for Bloom, who are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out their game plan, how they're going to deal with the rest of this, and how they're going to adapt to playing as a team, because it really felt like in a lot of these fights, they were just kind of scattered. Like one person would do something, and the rest of the team wasn't coordinated. They didn't have a full 5v5 team fight. It felt like 5 different people playing a fight rather than like the team as a cohesive unit.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today with a very quick 2-0 up and out of here. We're already done with the Diamond Division for today. So thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed those games as much as we did. But for me, Rue, and for When It Rains, this has been the Blue Otter League Diamond Division. Thank you for joining us.